welcome to Planet Earth. Mr. H here with you. If you're listening to Planet Earth, it's got to be Friday. Well, it doesn't really have to be. It could be any time. It's the internet and it's YouTube, so you can listen to it 24/7. But yeah, it's Friday where I'm sitting right now, so we're just going to run with that. Welcome to Planet Earth. Hope you had a great week, and I hope you have an even greater weekend. Hey, what are we talking about today? How about the Falkland Islands War from 1982? Yeah, where are the Falkland Islands? They are way down at the bottom of the map over here. They next door to Argentina, but they belong to Great Britain. Right, how did Britain end up with these things? How does Britain end up with most of the stuff they ended up with, right? Colonialism. Nonetheless, the islands were discovered by the Spanish. Then the British took it from the Spanish, through both Spaniards that were on the island, off the island. Not sure Spain was aware they owned the things. Then they left after Argentina became independent in 1816. So Argentina owned them for a little while. And in 1833, the British just kind of showed up and told the Argentines to, go away, it's ours again. And since then, it's been sitting in British hands. And once again, why did they even bother with these things? Look how far away. What are they really close to? How does it benefit Great Britain? It doesn't. It belongs to them. They're keeping it, right? I don't know. Stepping stone for an attack on Antarctica? I don't know. Can't really use it much against Latin America. Look how exposed you are. Who are you going to fight? Brazil? I don't know. But the British are strange people. They do what they do. They hang on to their territory because, well, they used to have an empire and now it's gone. So, they get to relive some of the glory days. Now, why would anyone care about why would anyone even care about the Falkland Islands? Just talked about it. Argentina used to have them. They got thrown out, so it's a sense of pride. It's kind of like Fort Sumter sitting in the middle of Charleston Harbor. The Confederacy declared its independence. They said it was intolerable to have Fort Sumter under Union control. That's not bothering anybody, man. If you're really smart, you sell them fruit and booze and make money off that thing, But you know how that turned out. Same thing here with Argentina. Why does this even matter to you? Yeah, it's very close. It can be a little bit annoying knowing it used to belong to you, but there's nothing there except sheep. It's no real oil. It's no minerals. It's nothing. It just sort of sits there. In fact, it would cost more to take it over than to just leave it alone. But nope, Argentina's got reasons for that. So Argentina cares about this very deeply, and you're wondering, why does Britain care about it? Do they care about it? Argentina decided to take the Falkland Islands one day, and part of it was predicated on the fact that Britain wouldn't care. Guess what? Britain did care. The Empire Strikes Back. Apparently they put this on some kind of news magazine back in '82. They called it The Empire Strikes Back. You say that, everybody knows what you're talking about. George Lucas did a fantastic job imprinting Star Wars on America's mind, that's for sure. But, yep, the British are coming. There's the aircraft carrier, sort of aircraft carrier. HMS Hermes, they're headed south. They are going to take back the Falkland Islands. Now, this came out a little bit later on, but they had a lot of help. Yeah, it's not a NATO operations outside the NATO area, but the U.S. was giving them intelligence. They had a nuclear submarine down there doing some recon, satellite stuff, and they even promised to give them the USS Midway if when they lost one of their carriers. Midway was the oldest carrier at the time, built in 1945. A lot of this was behind the scenes, and it came out later, like 85, 86. So, Argentina was upset about it then. They might have calmed down about it now, but you never know. Here are the two guys we have to thank for all of this, Leopoldo Gultiori and Jorge Anaya. Well, see, Argentina, the reason they went after Falkland Islands, it wasn't just history or decided the time was right. They had some domestic issues. In 1976, the Argentine military overthrew the government and took over the country. They had the dirty war going on. They would take dissidents and they would just, disappear. And I mean disappear permanently. Still haven't sure where most of these guys went to. You know what happened, right? Dug a hole, shot him, pushed the dirt back over him. That kind of disappearance. Well, by 1982, they have economic problems. The country's falling apart. Everybody hates the government. So, what better way than to unite everybody by attacking an outside enemy? They're not the first guys to think about it, they're not the last. Leopoldo Galtieri was actually an engineer, believe it or not, a Corps of Engineers before he graduated to running the whole country. The guy next to him there, Jorge Anaya, excuse me, he's the, I guess it'd be the chief of naval operations. I mean, he guy runs the Navy. He was really big into taking the Falkland Islands. This guy had a plan to retake the Falkland Islands when he was in high school. I bet he was writing it in the back of a notebook somewhere. Um, Apparently, he was thinking about launching this attack in 1985. He wanted to build up their navy a bit more, but by 82, with the economy in the toilet and dissidents all over the place so fast they couldn't get rid of all of them, they decided that was the time to strike. Galtieri, sound familiar? Yeah, no relation to Paulie. No, just no relation. Same sort of mentality, though. Now, who's running Great Britain at the time? Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady. Could this have been part of their calculations too? They see a woman prime minister, first one for Great Britain. It's very far away. This is not Great Britain from 1901. So maybe, and of course, the necessity of trying to pull attention away from all their domestic problems. Could all of this come together to attack the Falkland Islands? I mean, it's certainly possible. But, once again, somebody didn't read their history books. Because I look at this, and to me, it looks like a rematch of 1588. I mean, maybe it's too far back, maybe it's just me. Elizabeth I going up against Philip II of Spain, another naval clash. Spanish thought they were going to win. This is Argentina, but you get the point. Same sort of thing. The British have a way of bringing up strong female leaders. I mean, Elizabeth I. Victoria, Queen Victoria was there forever. Elizabeth II, 1952 until, 2022. I mean, they always seem to have these very strong female leaders. Margaret Thatcher. Then we had Theresa May and then the other lady who left after 44 days. So maybe not anymore, but they certainly have had a history of doing that. And Margaret Thatcher, she's tough as rocks, man. Hence the Iron Lady. Take a look at the Falkland Islands themselves. East is where the action is. There's nothing really in the west. The west is very rocky, very hilly, very few shepherds, a couple of sheep running around. Nothing to get excited about in West Falkland. All of the, if you want to call them cities, all right, towns, settlements, places where you find more than two people, are all in the east. So East Falkland Island is what you need. Grab that channel in the middle and start taking the island. It would take approximately, 2 days to walk across the whole thing if you were just meandering about. Yeah, not a very big place. Problem is you got to get there first. And the Royal Navy takes a beating. They lost 6 ships in this war. Right there on the left is the the HMS Antelope getting hit. And on the right is the Sheffield. What were they hit by? Cruise missiles. Yes, the first war we see cruise missiles in. So 1982 is the first time you actually see cruise missiles. That's terrifying, isn't it? Just think about this. The gap between 1982 and the Second World War is smaller than the gap between 1982 and 2024. Isn't that scary? Just think about that. Write that down, piece of paper. Go ahead, make a little graph there. Draw a line. Yeah, that's terrifying, isn't it? Time just marches on. Well, once they got on the ground, and they weren't going to get stopped. They lose a few ships. They nailed Argentina's navy pretty bad. They had the General Belgrano got sunk and a couple other boats. So they basically chased off the Argentine Navy, and the Air Force can't reach out that well. Once they landed out on the ground, it was all over, man. They landed at, Pebble Island's little radar station up there, but they landed there at San Carlos and just follow the red lines, man. They just walked right across there. And it was kind of interesting because every time I read about this, I get the same impression over and over. It's not any huge battles or great, or great artillery exchanges or anything. It's just some sniping going around, and it's basically British, roving bands of British and Argentines surrendering all over the place. Most of Argentina's 650 some odd fatalities came at sea when, ships getting sunk and some planes shot down. Not a lot happening on the ground. This place looks like Wales, so I think the British are kind of used to these sort of conditions. They had a lot of Argentines would surrender, and I think they let them go 2 days later. They found some cruise boat, put them on there, sent them back to Argentina, something like that. It was once they got on the ground, this thing was over. So the whole war took maybe, I don't know, 2, 3 months, something like that. So the lesson here is don't underestimate women leaders, especially if they're British. They might have their own way of doing things, but at the end of the day, excuse me, a win is a win. So I think part of the reason for that British reaction was that, the British Empire in 1945 just, was bankrupt, and they still had a fourth of the world, but they were done. I mean, it was over. They knew it was over. They were bankrupt in the war, and nothing could do. So all the territory just started dropping off. They did it mainly voluntarily, so, stay on good terms. So I think when Argentina grabbed the Falkland Islands, it was like an affront they couldn't take. You used to have the empire with the on the sun, with which the sun never set, and then here comes Argentina out of nowhere, just thinking they can grab it and run off. So I guess the British got mad about it. They might not be the great world-spanning superpower, but still a great power. So I guess that's what that was all about. Hey, let's talk about Torvosaurus. Yeah, savage lizard. Oh, this thing was savage too, man. Look at it. It just looks mean. Kind of a smaller version of Allosaurus. Torvosaurus. Why does it look familiar? Torvo, savage. Oh, yeah, it's a character in my book, Heaven Steel. Yeah, okay, he's a secondary character running a forge. But yeah, that's his name, Torvin. He was a secondary guy. I picked that name because if you work in a steel mill, you got to be a tough, savage guy. And I'm not talking about 1950s or 1850s steel mill. I'm talking even today, you know. I mean, granted, Pittsburgh's not the big steel industry it used to be, but it's still around, still got some steel and, and more medical technology, turning a technology hub. But hey, you got to make it out of something, don't you? Nah. Anyway, you find Mr. H's book on Lulu.com. Supports indie authors like Mr. H. You buy this book, and Mr. H gets $1 to play the numbers. Actually, I'll probably end up buying a pizza. But hey, go ahead, buy a book. Awesome book, great book. Epic, high fantasy, and massive battles. It's also good size, very heavy, awesome to prop up a door with if you need it. Always could regift it. Think about it. Hey, back to Torvosaurus here. So it's a pretty good sized animal here. About 30 feet long, 10 feet tall. Look at the back of the head. Yeah, that's definitely related to Allosaurus in some way, shape, or form. Even has 3 claws, fairly muscular looking arms, if a bit small. Definitely could grab a human being and make it a rough day for a human being. Yeah, not going to end well in a hand-to-hand fight with Torvosaurus. If you've noticed, Torvosaurus lives about the same time as some other predators like Allosaurus. Isn't that interesting? So they must have run into each other at some point. There must have been some kind of conflict, especially over a kill. Allosaurus is bigger, but, Torvosaurus, you look at those teeth, man. I don't care if he's bigger, still going to hurt. So Torvosaurus probably, this is a phenomenon. We have several predators in the same place. It's called predation niches. So what we think Torvosaurus did was live out around the water. Remember Torvosaurus last week? We talked about how kind of lived in swampy estuary places. It appears that our friend Torvosaurus, kind of the same thing, except North America and Europe, lived around the lakes. Right? Lakes and rivers. Why? Because that's where everybody comes to get something to drink. So something, sometime, somewhere is going to show up there. And yep, the minute they're drinking, got their head down, can't see anything, boom, Torvosaurus comes in, and you are lunch. Look at that skull. Looks like Allosaurus, doesn't it? Yeah, you saw the back of the head. Allosaurus kind of looked sort of a slender sort of skull and setup, those teeth. I can't get a good look at those teeth, but Tyrannosaurus and Tarbosaurus and all those guys, those jaws are meant to crush and kill. Allosaurus would bite and it would go back and forth almost like a saw. So those teeth have serrated edges on it. It probably operates the same way as Allosaurus. So instead of bite and crunch, it's bite and saw, which might actually be worse. Well, they're both not good, that's for sure. Anyway, I was thinking too. Are snakes like spaghetti for Torvosaurus? I mean, think about it, right? It's just their slender jaw. Doesn't really chew stuff. It just swallows stuff because it's a reptile. This guy doesn't appear to be living near the water, but maybe took a break to go inland or something like that. Take a look around. Makes me wonder if it ate a lot of fish. Teeth seem to indicate it doesn't, but all the footprints we found and the remains we found seem to be in their old riverbeds. So maybe grabbing a snake walking through the water is like spaghetti or maybe beef jerky for Torvosaurus. I mean, it worked for millions of years. The thing was around for 7 million years, And the picture of this particular Torvosaurus, the guy who attacked, it's not Stegosaurus, it's Kentosaurus maybe, because it must be in Europe someplace. I mean, look at that. This guy's built, man. He does his time in the gym. So around for 7 million years. So they were doing something right, Torvosaurus. So it's all applaud Torvosaurus. Good job, hanging around 7 million years. It's better than humans, at least so far anyway. Alrighty, let's talk about the Steelers. Trading for Russel Wilson. Why? He is washed up, has been. They signed him a 1-year contract. I have no idea what he is doing there. Is he providing leadership? Is he providing inspiration? Is he cutting the grass on the field? I don't know what he's doing. This guy hasn't won a Super Bowl since 2013. Blew it in 2014 with a random interception on the goal line there. When he's with Seattle, had a 1 year in Denver that went nowhere. So why would you pick this guy up? We already have 2 quarterbacks. You got Kenny Pickett and you got Mason Rudolph. So one of those got to be your guy. I would think Kenny Pickett. He had one bad game. Everybody's flipping out. He got injured, right? Mason Rudolph had some good games. So maybe one of those 2 guys. So you let those 2 guys battle out in training camp. You should have drafted a 3rd guy to be your long-term project somewhere, instead of getting a guy who played with Torvosaurus, apparently. Why am I doing a job for you, Pittsburgh? I'm going to send this to him. I should get, I don't know, a small stipend for a consultant fee or something, I saw this picture, too. Here's Russell Wilson in a Steeler uniform. Yeah, that's clearly AI of some kind. It's a pretty good AI. It looks very realistic. I need to find out what kind that is. Just a small couple telltale signs is AI. The ball isn't completely right. I don't know what's up with this bulge over here in the helmet. And by the way, when this picture came out after they announced he signed with the Steelers, so clearly didn't have a uniform yet. Some other trade news going around. Well, we got Dante Jackson from Carolina to play cornerback. We sent Deontay Johnson, our troubled receiver, down there. A very skilled player, lots of talent. I don't know what his problem was. He's turning into Antonio Brown 2.0, man. We don't need that again. No more Antonio Browns. Is it something about this particular era where wide receivers suddenly become narcissistic or something? I don't know. It might be something that was always there. I wouldn't know. I played defense. I had a lot of fun knocking them down. Mr. H was with the uniforms, right? I want to have the matching uniforms. Either Pittsburgh wears black and the other team wears white, or the Steelers in the white and the other team has their home jersey. So there we are. There's our new teammate there. His friend is wearing number 26, just like somebody else we don't want to talk about. Yep, I heard all about the possibility of Le'Veon Bell reaching out to the Steelers. I don't think it's happening. I don't want to talk about it because if I start talking about Le'Veon Bell the way he left the Steelers, I'm liable to start using some words in English, Greek, and Russian that I probably shouldn't yell on YouTube. I would say the children are listening, but they probably know the words better than I do. You guys always have a fantastic day. Have a great weekend. Keep it safe. Don't forget to buy Heaven Steel. Or don't, but I prefer you would. And I will see you again next week. Das vidanya.